there are many, many men out there who they don't understand why their relationships with women and really their life in general is causing them so much suffering and depression. They don't understand that society has shifted to make women the default, to make feminine thinking and a feminine way of life the default, and that anything masculine is judged, right? Masculinity, it's toxic masculinity. Where's toxic femininity? Why isn't that a term? Because I can tell you there are a lot of common behaviors to women that are very toxic. There are women screaming and using emotional abuse to manipulate men and to get them to capitulate and to invest in them because they feel guilty. This ability women have to make men feel guilty and to use that to control men using guilt. That's toxic. And that's something that women do far more than men do. And I'm not saying men don't do things that are toxic and that, men are good and women are bad. It's not like that. But we live in a world where the American Psychiatric Association has a guide for young men and boys that uses the word toxic masculinity throughout and talks about how men are raised to be essentially evil, how we are the problem. And this is something that is all throughout society, that men are the cause of most problems. I mean, you've got the Me Too movement, and obviously there are cases that are genuine, but there's also the overlying mentality that men are kind of inherently monstrous, basically, right? That you have to fight against your own dark nature, and that women's nature is good. That is what they are, they are the fairer sex in every way. And that is what the narrative has become. So there has been this shift where men are portrayed as weak or as being inherently bad. And this causes men to feel a lot of guilt and to basically give the women in their lives all of the power. And so this leads to very toxic relationships. It leads to depression. It leads men to be in these very negative, toxic situations. And that often turns into suicides. It really does. And so when someone like Rollo Tomassi says he believes that he has prevented many suicides, that people send him emails saying that they were literally going to kill themselves, but they didn't, I believe that to be true. I think that is genuinely true. Men commit suicide 3 times as often as women, and there's a reason for that. I'm not saying women don't have serious issues that are unique to them, but men do too, and that is something that is not addressed. It's something that's actually taunted, if anything. Men being depressed, men having issues is made fun of. When a man is bald in a TV show, everyone makes fun of it. When a man is fat, everyone makes fun of it. When a woman has similar issues, if a woman is overweight, it's never going to get addressed. It's certainly not going to be mocked. If a man is a virgin, that is mocked. That is something that we put out there as a, you pathetic virgin, right? And that is something, shaming men for not being able to be successful is something that I believe derives from male inherent worthlessness. Men's lives do not have inherent value, women's do. That's a societal construct that has been around for forever. In the Titanic, it's the women and children who get their lives saved, not the men. The men have to sacrifice their lives. If we have a war, it's the men who are drafted. Most men, by default, their value is considered to be roughly 0. Only the men who are at the top, they have incredible value, but the majority of men have no value, and women have some value just for existing. And that is something that I think leads to men feeling depressed and not having a sense of purpose and not having a sense of worthiness. And the red pill talks about this. It puts it to the surface. It puts it out there. And I think that is very important and very valuable. And that's why the movement has been spreading like wildfire lately. So I have a lot of admiration and respect for men who are spreading that message. But at the same time, the red pill has a dark side too. The red pill attracts men who are hurting and who have been hurt, whether by women or by society, and it encourages men to share their negative experiences. And because of that, it has a bent towards the negative, especially towards women. Everything is colored by a sense of bitterness towards women. Things like all women are like that, or the cock carousel. That's what they call it, the cock carousel that women ride until they hit the wall. These terms all have a clear subtext of bitterness or just negativity towards women. And on a certain level, that's kind of necessary. It's like, why do rappers call women hoes or bitches? Well, it takes them off the pedestal that they normally are put on. And putting them on a pedestal isn't good, but also putting them beneath you isn't good either. Because the reality is, men do messed up things to women as well. I know multiple examples where a man threatens suicide if a girl would break up with him. Men can get manipulative and desperate and clingy, just like women can. And women are worse in certain areas, men are worse in other areas, but they each have their own problems. And so the thing with the red pill is it does do something very powerful and very meaningful, but the message is also tainted to an extent by bitterness, by the effect of being an online community that is an echo chamber. Just like feminism is an echo chamber, it's men talking about men's issues, complaining about women, and the things that rise to the top, the things that get the most attention, are the things that are the most emotionally provocative, and therefore the most negative. The things that are the most extreme are what we pay attention to, and that's what gets spread, and that's what we focus on. The average woman is not doing a lot of the things the red pill community talks about. They're not all these insane succubus harpies like the red pill would make it look like. Doing something like reading The Rational Male by Rollo Tomassi, watching red pill channels like Andrew Tate is one that I personally like, or Fresh and Fit, watching those kind of channels, it does have value, but it's important to be able to think critically and not to get too in this like pitchfork mob mentality. Because it's very easy when other people are saying things that you want to agree with that give you this sense of empowerment and this sense of having a common enemy. That is very easy to get sucked into. And having women as the cause of all your problems and society as being like totally biased against men, and to have this sense of togetherness, this tribal togetherness, is a very exciting feeling, but it's exaggerated. It's not the reality. The thing about the red pill is it's supposed to be about the truth. The blue pill is the lie that society tells us about women, about men, about what we have to do to be happy. All these lies, the societal myths that we're taught to believe. And the red pill is supposed to be the truth. The problem is the red pill cannot be the truth if it has its own biases and people get too emotional about it. And because we are so tribalistic inherently, that is the default that is going to happen. You have to actively fight against tribalism, against becoming a ideology as opposed to a praxology. You have to fight against that. That is the default. And a lot of the red pill has that issue. It has become very ideological. And so that's what I want you to be aware of is, yes, take in red pill content, but keep in mind that the real intention of the red pill is to find the truth. And if you want to genuinely be red pilled, it doesn't mean accept everything that these people say at face value. It means think critically about it. Think about what their biases might be. Think about how the fact that they're in a certain echo chamber and the people emailing someone like Rollo Tomassi tend to all be from a certain side, from a certain perspective. And there's another perspective that also needs to be accounted for. So I highly recommend, if you're going to read and consume red pill content, also read some books about feminism. I'm not a feminist by the modern definition, by the definition of equal rights. You could call me a feminist, but by a lot of the modern stuff, I think it's ridiculous. But it's still valuable for me to intentionally consume some of that content, especially the best quality content. Read a feminist book so I have both perspectives and I can keep myself from getting too locked in to one side. Because what I've noticed about red pill guys, it's really funny because I'm a pickup coach, is that the red pill clients I get have the worst game. They, on average, have the worst game. And if you think about red pill coaches, a lot of them do not have game. They have no receipts. They have no infield. They're talking about how to pick up women, and then you see their girlfriend is not attractive and has none of the qualities that you would want in a girlfriend. This is very common among red pill coaches. There's few exceptions. That's kind of why I like Andrew Tate, is he has the receipts to show, no, he does live the lifestyle that red pill people talk about, that they encourage. But on the whole, that's pretty rare. There aren't many red pill coaches who have any evidence that they actually sleep with attractive women, that they spin plates, that they have the lifestyle that they encourage and teach men how to get. You have to be aware of these incongruencies and wonder how much of their philosophy is based on actual experimentation and results, and how much of it is just theory spread from one internet keyboard warrior to another keyboard warrior. Because I've had a lot of red pill clients, guys who are into the red pill become clients, and they tend to have the least personality. They're trying too hard to be ultra masculine, so they don't have any vulnerability or charm a lot of the time. They're just taking themselves way too seriously, and women are repulsed by that energy. I find it very interesting how the guys who are into the red pill tend to be the worst at pickup. And I strongly believe the reason is that many of the red pill coaches who teach men how to pick up women have never picked up women successfully themselves. So if you're watching red pill content to learn how to improve your game, I would highly recommend looking for evidence that they've actually gotten results. For example, do they have testimonials of men giving specific examples of how the coaching led to results? That's something that I have a lot of myself. You can click the link below to see my testimonials. Do they have infield or pictures of themselves with attractive women? Do they have evidence that they're actually doing what they say they're doing or not? And be aware that just because they're charismatic and they have a lot of conviction does not mean that everything they say is true. Test their ideas and experiment with them in the field by going out and talking to women and see what works and what doesn't. And just because someone has 500,000 followers doesn't mean everything they say is going to actually work. The problem with the red pill is that it's too ideological in many cases, and the coaches and teachers that rise to the top are not necessarily the ones who get the best results and live the most alignment with red pill values. It's the ones that are the best at making YouTube videos, the best at marketing, the most charismatic speakers. Those are the ones that rise to the top. That's how the internet works. And sometimes they're going to be genuinely good coaches, but other times they're just good marketers. They're snake oil salesmen, and you have to be on the lookout for that. There are snakes in the grass in the red pill community all over the place. There are ones who are legit, and there are ones who aren't. So if you're going to adopt the red pill, you're going to take in that type of content, keep in mind that the purpose of the red pill is not to blindly follow a new ideology. It is to find the truth, even if it's a harsh truth that you don't want to believe. Even if that truth is that some red pill teacher that you've been following doesn't know what he's talking about or is wrong about some of his major beliefs. So I encourage diving into the red pill type of content, but be aware that a lot of the ideas spread in the red pill are not based on science or logic. They're often based on emotional release. And by the way, I'm saying this as someone who used to be one of the top posters in the red pill subreddit. If you look through my Reddit, I used to have a lot of the top upvoted posts on that community. I'm very familiar with it, but I've never wanted to fully identify as part of the red pill because of the bitterness, because of the echo chamber, because of the ideological and tribal nature of a lot of the posts and a lot of the creators that are involved with that community. There are a lot of great things and great ideas that come from the red pill, but it also has a lot of problems, and sometimes it's just outright misogynistic. It's just you bashing on women because it feels good to have a scapegoat for your problems. And in my opinion, that's not what the red pill should be about. If you want more content that is red pill adjacent but isn't so mired in bitterness as a lot of the red pill stuff is, then make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button. I'm going to be tackling a lot of the same ideas that the red pill does, but from a different angle.